The way the United States engages economically in the world is a critical factor of our economic recovery. It is an American imperative to create jobs and therefore an American imperative to expand exports. An export strategy is a job strategy, and that is what this afternoon's hearing is all about. A fresh focus on export promotion is one way to grow the economy without growing the federal budget deficit. Our challenge is to make things, grow things, add value to things, and sell these goods to consumers all around the world. With so many Americans enduring economic hardships, the Congress is required to examine the policy and the regulatory framework that is supposed to enable the engines of the American economy, hard work and enterprise, to thrive. Instead of powering economic growth, this framework has taken the American economy in the wrong direction. Fortunately, the people of our nation are resilient, and we can chart a new economic course out of the economic carnage. The Congress and the President can construct an economic structure that fully empowers workers and entrepreneurs to be successful in the global marketplace. Today we're going to hear a number of witnesses from government agencies testify that exports have recently played a central role in growing the economy and are critical to creating and sustaining good-paying jobs. I also want to extend a especially warm welcome to Mr. Bob Beisner from Solar World, who's going to add an Oregon perspective to this afternoon's discussion. When in the past worker productivity and wages grew right along with the gross domestic product, it was easy to make excuses for a burgeoning trade deficit. Today, there are no excuses. The U.S. trade deficit in recent years has exceeded $700 billion. Exports' share of U.S. GDP is less than half what exports contribute to the economies of other developed countries. No public official can simply justify the status quo. Knowing all of this, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative and the Department of Commerce recognize that they simply cannot keep on keeping on. So the question is, aren't there new approaches and opportunities to be seized that result in near and long-term export and job creation opportunities? In Tokyo last month, the President said that America, and I quote here, has to put a greater emphasis on exports that we can build, produce, and sell around the world. For America, this is a job strategy. There are jobs making everything from wind turbines and solar panels to the technology that you use every day. I certainly agree with the President, and it's obvious that foreign markets are fertile ground to American-produced goods and services, especially markets that are rebounding more quickly and dramatically than our own. So it is time to get to work and create an export expansion strategy. That strategy must include initiatives to eliminate trade barriers and unfair trade practices that dampen the demand for U.S. exports. It has to help American firms identify and exploit sales opportunities overseas, and that's one focus of today's subcommittee hearing. Furthermore, an export strategy must establish clear targets and goals. My target? Reduce our trade deficit in half by 2015. Right now, the most generous estimates show that only about 4% of American companies export, and just 500 companies account for 60% of all our exports. My target? Double by 2015 the percentage of U.S. companies that are exporters. In order to achieve targets like these, the federal government has to provide the resources necessary to adequately finance export promotion goals that it establishes. It also ought to make sure that these taxpayer-financed resources are used wisely in order to maximize their impact. There are bold opportunities to expand exports of manufactured goods, and they're produced by workers in our country that make good wages. As one example, the global market for products that reduce greenhouse gas emissions is expanding dramatically, literally doubling from 2004 through 2008. For U.S. producers of these environmental goods, this development has been a boon, enabling them to expand domestic and foreign sales and create good-paying jobs. Tapping overseas markets in this area is critical because over 80% of clean energy investments are going to take place outside of the United States. Furthermore, much of the U.S. trade deficit is a result of oil imports, so promoting the use and export of environmental goods serves a variety of useful purposes. It's especially important that there is a level playing field for U.S. producers to be able to compete with foreign counterparts. Right now, India and China assign an average tariff of up to 15% on solar technology components, and other developing countries impose tariffs that reach beyond 30%. U.S. tariffs, on the other hand, on environmental goods are 1.75% on the average. Nobody can say that that is a level playing field. So it's my view that tackling the significant trade barriers that foreign governments impose on the environmental goods sector can make an immediate impact for U.S. job creators. The witnesses today are going to tell us that reducing tariffs is helpful, but alone it's not a silver bullet to increasing production and exports of these goods and many others. There are a variety of policies that need consideration, and this hearing is a start towards that discussion. Ultimately, renewed consumption of U.S. goods is the best way to reignite the American economy. We can find much of this consumption beyond our borders. As the Congress and the President discuss ways to jumpstart the economy, to create jobs, to get our economy moving forward again, there needs to be a new focus on export opportunities. I'm looking forward to the testimony from today's witnesses and to a productive discussion towards establishing a coherent and compelling export expansion strategy.